The Property Bulletin by London Property, the home of superprime.
Property technology, or PropTech, is revolutionising the UK real estate market, enhancing efficiency, transparency and growth. Key innovations include virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality enables immersive virtual property tours, especially beneficial for international and off-plan buyers. Augmented reality allows buyers to visualize home renovations by virtually adding furniture or making structural changes. Blockchain and smart contracts. Blockchain enhances transaction transparency and security, reducing fraud and intermediaries. Smart contracts automate property transactions, speeding up processes and cutting legal costs. Artificial intelligence and big data. AI-driven tools offer more accurate property valuations and help predict market trends. AI also personalizes property recommendations and enhances buyer search experiences with virtual assistants. Smart homes and IoT, the Internet of Things. Smart home technologies improve energy efficiency, security, and property appeal. IoT helps landlords remotely monitor and manage properties, ensuring operational efficiency. Sustainable PropTech. Technologies that promote energy-efficient building designs and sustainable materials are becoming essential in new developments. These innovations are reshaping how properties are marketed, managed and sold, creating new opportunities for buyers, sellers and investors in the UK real estate market. Millionaire investors and business leaders have publicly supported a proposal to raise capital gains tax, CGT, for landlords, according to a report by the left-wing think tank, the Institute for Public Policy Research, IPPR. The report makes the controversial claim that increasing CGT to align with income tax bands at rates of 20%, 40% and 45% would not significantly harm property market investments, as many had feared. This backing comes amidst ongoing speculation that Chancellor Rachael Reeves may push property investors out of the private rental sector, PRS, by raising CGT in her upcoming budget. However, recent reports from The Times indicate that Reeves is reconsidering, with suggestions that she may focus on CGT increases for share dealing profits instead of rental properties and second homes. The IPPR report, authored by research fellow Pranesh Narayanan, argues that the current CGT system unfairly benefits those who already own substantial assets. Narayanan explains that while property values in the UK have surged by 54% since 2014, those who passively held on to real estate portfolios during this period could now sell them for massive gains, with relatively low tax liability. Narayanan illustrates this disparity by comparing a £1 million gain from property investments over a decade with the tax burden on someone earning £100,000 annually. The property investor's tax bill would be only half as much, despite having earned their wealth passively. The current system unfairly rewards those who own assets over those who contribute productively to the economy through work, he writes in a blog post. This, of course, ignores the fact that the property assets were originally bought with funds created by productive contributions to the economy. According to the IPPR, raising CGT to match income tax rates could generate £14 billion in revenue and would impact less than 1% of the population. Equalising capital gains tax with the income tax schedule is one way to meet the Chancellor's challenge, Narayanan adds. This debate over CGT reform is gaining momentum, as proponents struggle to make the argument that a heavier tax burden would reduce wealth inequality without stifling investment. However, the government's final decision remains to be seen, with many waiting to see whether the property sector will be shielded from higher CGT rates in the upcoming budget. In the world of luxury real estate, extravagant amenities are no longer limited to what's visible above ground. A growing trend among wealthy homeowners, especially in cities like Los Angeles, is the creation of iceberg houses, properties with vast opulent subterranean spaces hidden below the surface. These homes go far beyond the typical basement, with underground levels featuring everything from wellness centres and swimming pools to private cinemas and wine cellars. Iceberg homes first emerged as a solution to stringent zoning and planning regulations that limited above-ground construction, but today the appeal is twofold, maximising land use while preserving unobstructed views. There's been a noticeable rise in demand for iceberg homes, says Zoltan E. Pali, design principal and co-founder of SPF, a Los Angeles-based architecture firm. The ability to create expansive spaces hidden from view allows homeowners to enjoy their amenities without drawing attention, which is particularly appealing in celebrity-dense areas like Los Angeles. Pali's firm has been behind some of the most striking iceberg residences in Southern California, including the Orem residence, a glass-clad 18,000-square-foot mansion in Bel Air. The home, famously featured in a Tiffany & Co. campaign with Jay-Z and Beyoncé, floats 2 stories above ground, but conceals a massive third floor below. This underground level includes a home theatre, gym, spa, cedar sauna, service kitchen, and a 1,000-bottle wine room. Similarly, the Bronze House, located in the coveted Bird Streets neighbourhood, boasts a subterranean floor with a fitness room, spa, guest quarters, and a hidden kitchen. This underground luxury is not confined to California. The trend has made its way across the Atlantic, with properties like Hastings House in London's Knightsbridge district offering a hidden swimming pool below street level. Cara Delevingne's childhood home in Belgravia, which was listed for $30 million early this year, features an underground movie theatre, cocktail bar, gym, and catering kitchen. However, building these iceberg houses isn't without its challenges. Construction is both time-consuming and expensive, often exceeding $1 million for larger projects. Despite the cost, Pallier sees the complexity as an opportunity for innovation in design, allowing architects to push the boundaries of what luxury living can offer. For the ultra-wealthy, iceberg homes represent the latest status symbol, an extravagant world of hidden luxury, perfectly suited to those who value privacy, design, and indulgence. Rachael Griffin, a tax and financial planning expert at Quilter, has weighed in on reports that the government is planning to increase inheritance tax (IHT) revenues in the upcoming budget. Griffin highlights the widespread disdain for IHT, labelling it one of Britain's most detested taxes due to its perceived unfairness. She argues that while the ultra-wealthy can often escape IHT through expert tax advice, much of the £7 billion it raises annually comes from individuals who've worked hard, saved and invested diligently throughout their lives. Griffin notes that IHT is a highly emotive issue, especially as frozen thresholds drag more people into its net. Over time, the tax system has become a complex and evolving web, ensnaring those who are not necessarily super rich, but find themselves paying more due to stagnant thresholds and increasing property values. She calls for reform, citing that IHT is full of impenetrable and irrelevant details that have long been in need of revision. Many are anxious about Labour's plans for IHT reform. As Griffin explains, reducing the £325,000 nil rate band could easily be viewed as a quick tax grab, something the Conservative Party under Rishi Sunak flirted with when they discussed abolishing IHT entirely to win over voters. Any reforms perceived as punitive or rushed could lead to a significant backlash. According to Griffin, reforms should focus on simplification rather than revenue generation. Labour has reportedly been eyeing the closure or reduction of several IHT reliefs, including agricultural and business property relief. If these benefits are removed or redefined, it could mean the loss of inheritance tax breaks for AIM shares, a potentially counterproductive move for a government that wants to drive growth and investment in UK assets. A key feature of UK IHT legislation is the £325,000 nil rate band, which allows individuals to pass on this portion of their estate tax-free upon death. However, the residence nil rate band, RNRB, introduced by George Osborne, adds an additional level of complexity. The RNRB offers up to £175,000 in tax relief for those who own a residential property, but its conditions are poorly understood by many. Griffin also touches on exemptions for heritage properties, which can be passed on to the next generation without IHT if they meet certain conditions, such as historical or architectural significance. Though these exemptions don't apply to most, they save significant sums for those with qualifying estates. Griffin suggests that if Labour does opt to make IHT more punitive, they might balance this by modernising the UK's gifting laws. Simplifying the IHT regime and raising the annual gifting exemption could ease asset transfers and encourage wealth to be passed on during an individual's lifetime. A higher gifting threshold could also reduce future IHT liabilities and potentially stimulate consumer spending. In the end, whether Labour's reforms will be seen as a necessary modernisation or a politically motivated tax grab will depend on the specifics of their proposals. However, Griffin makes it clear that serious, thoughtful reform is necessary and overdue. Kettle Homes has unveiled a new £150 million single-family rental (SFR) strategy aimed at helping renters transition into homeowners. This ambitious rent-to-own initiative is designed to address the growing demand for home ownership by creating a steady supply of new, energy-efficient, single-family homes that renters can eventually purchase. Lars Kreutzmann, formerly the head of Private Real Estate Europe at Partners Group, has joined Kettle Homes as a partner to lead the new strategy. Kreutzmann's expertise will help drive the company's efforts to meet the needs of first-time buyers, who are currently locked out of the housing market due to high deposit requirements and rising rental costs. Kettle's rent-to-own strategy specifically targets households with annual incomes between £35,000 and £75,000, the so-called squeezed middle, who are struggling to save for a down payment. Focusing on regions like the Midlands, Yorkshire and the North West, the company aims to purchase and build 2, 3 and 4 bedroom homes over the next 18 months. These homes will offer an affordable path to ownership for thousands of renters. We established Kettle Homes as a new way to buy energy-efficient homes without requiring a large deposit up front, said Trevor Stundon, CEO and partner at Kettle Homes. Around 2.8 million households in private rental accommodation want to buy a home but can't. Deposits are the biggest barrier for 51% of first-time buyers, and most rental properties are EPC rated D, contributing to higher costs and carbon emissions. Our mission is to help solve the home ownership crisis and provide better opportunities for the squeezed middle and key workers. The initiative contrasts with traditional shared ownership schemes by requiring that all homes under the rent-to-own program be sold to first-time buyers or moved into an open market SFR portfolio within 5 years. This time-bound structure ensures a clear pathway to home ownership, while also offering flexibility for tenants who wish to remain renters beyond the rent-to-own period. All homes in Kettle's portfolio will meet minimum EPC ratings of B or higher, ensuring high sustainability standards and significant energy savings up to £3,100 annually for tenants. The properties have been sourced through partnerships with trusted house builders, and Kettle Homes is committed to delivering homes that not only reduce energy costs but also contribute to a greener environment. Kettle Homes' rent-to-own initiative reflects the company's broader commitment to addressing the UK's housing affordability crisis, creating energy-efficient homes and providing renters with a viable path to ownership. As inflation finally dips below the Bank of England's 2% target and living standards begin to improve, there's one group that won't feel the relief: the 4.6 million people in the UK who rely on the private rental market. While most sectors of the economy see costs easing, rents are continuing to soar at an alarming rate. With ministers still at odds over social housing and planning reforms, the rental market is teetering on the brink of a full-blown catastrophe, and it's the incompetence of the political class that's largely to blame. The latest data paints a grim picture. Over the past 12 months, the average cost of renting has shot up by 8.4%, according to the Office for National Statistics. For 2 years now, rental prices have been rising by more than 5% annually. In London, the average rent has now hit a staggering £2,694 per month, while outside the capital it stands at £1,344, a record 19th consecutive monthly increase, according to data from Rightmove. This isn't just anecdotal evidence anymore. Official figures now confirm what tenants have long feared: renting is becoming more expensive at an unsustainable rate. For the nearly one-fifth of the population that relies on the private rental sector, PRS, for housing, this is nothing short of a crisis. With wages growing by just 4.9% annually and energy costs climbing by 10% this year, thanks in part to the government's fixation on net zero policies, rents are becoming increasingly unaffordable. Taxes are expected to rise in Rachael Reeves' horror budget at the end of the month, and while the Chancellor may claim that working people will be shielded, the reality is that these costs will ultimately land on their shoulders. Many renters are already stretched their limits, with private renters spending 1/3 of their income on rent and a fifth of tenants forking over half their earnings just to keep a roof over their heads. If the current rate of rent increases continues, the average rent will double in just over 8 years, surpassing £5,000 a month in London, a figure few can realistically afford. Landlords, however, are not faring much better. Rising mortgage costs, stricter energy efficiency targets, increased taxes and ever-growing regulatory burdens are squeezing landlords out of the market. Many are now exiting the PRS entirely, unable to make a profit or deal with the increasing headaches associated with renting properties. The government's war on landlords, rooted in the flawed belief that punishing property owners would somehow benefit tenants, has backfired spectacularly. House prices remain prohibitively high for first-time buyers, while landlords are fleeing the market. Add in the pressure of high immigration, net immigration is still projected to surpass 300,000 people this year, and it's clear the housing demand far outstrips supply. Are we building enough homes to address this? Absolutely not. New planning approvals have hit a 10-year low, and we're nowhere near the government's target of 300,000 new homes annually, a goal that would barely even begin to bring supply and demand back into balance. In the face of this crisis, the government is doubling down on failed policies. The Renters' Reform Bill will hand even more control to tenants, leading more landlords to exit the market. Tax hikes in the upcoming budget, possibly including a national insurance levy on rents, will only worsen the situation, with these costs being passed directly to tenants. To make matters worse, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner and Chancellor Rachael Reeves are reportedly at odds over the amount of money allocated for social housing. With Labour seemingly unwilling to prioritise affordable housing, the government is leaving millions of renters in a precarious position. In short, the rental market is hurtling towards disaster, with the blame lying squarely on an incompetent political class. For millions of renters, this is becoming an unsustainable crisis, and unless swift action is taken, the situation is only going to get worse.
Subscribe to our newsletter to receive our weekly bulletins and stay ahead of what's shaping the super prime property market.